Hey guys, did you know there's 52 characters in MapleStory already? And on top of that, every year there's a lot of events to level up characters past 250 very easily. If you played every MapleStory event, eventually you'd have every single character above level 250. That's a lot of Legion and a lot of Legion blocks. So today I want to answer the question, what are the top 3 classes that benefit the most from having a maxed out Legion? Before we get started, I just want to say this video does not include the current damage meta. By the time it would take you to max out your Legion, there would have been a lot of damage patches. So for the sake of this video, we're pretending that all classes do the exact same damage right now. Currently in the game, there are 14 warriors, 12 mages, 9 pirates, 9 thieves, 7 archers, and 1 Xenon. Xenon has a special Legion block, so I'm considering it to be his own class. Also, isn't it crazy there's twice as many warriors as there are archers? Nexon just must hate archers for whatever reason. And some classes do benefit more from certain shared blocks, but more on that in a minute. For flat stat Legion blocks, there are 8 strength blocks, 8 int blocks, 7 luck blocks, and 6 dex blocks. Xenon gives 50 stats to strength, dex, and luck. Ranking them from highest to lowest, there are 850 strength, 800 int, 750 luck, and 650 dex flat stats to gain from Legion blocks. Warrior classes utilize strength and dex, so warriors get 850 strength and 650 dex, totaling 1500 stats. Whereas mages utilize int and luck, so they have 800 int and 750 luck for 1550 stats. Thieves utilize luck and dex, so with 750 luck and 650 dex, they get 1400 stats. Pirates utilize dex and strength, so they get 1500 like warriors. And archers utilize dex and strength just like pirates and warriors, so they also get 1500 stats. Obviously, this isn't precise as your main stat and secondary stat changes based on your class, but this is a good baseline to go off of right now. Also, interestingly enough, not a single class in the game uses int as a secondary stat. Mages use int as a primary stat, and that's the only use of it in the entire game. Crazy stuff. Now moving on to shared Legion blocks that benefit all classes. As mentioned previously, some classes benefit more from certain blocks over others. For example, archers have a common skill called Vicious Shot. There are 2 Legion blocks in the game that give you 10% crit rate total, and with Vicious Shot, it turns into 5% crit damage. Taking it a step further, a Hurricane class like Bowmaster actually gets about 4% damage from the Wild Hunter Legion block. There could be a class that gets more damage from Wild Hunter's Legion block than Bowmaster, but it's not listed in any of the discords that I read. Moving on from archers to mages, there's actually only a couple of them that actually benefit. I'm starting with Kana because they're getting remastered soon, so this might not even be the case later on. But right now, they actually benefit from having bonus HP. There are 3 bonus HP blocks in the game, 2 giving 2500 HP for 5000 total, and 1 boosting max HP by 6%. Doing some quick math on a late game Kana player I saw, you're getting about 7 magic attack from the flat HP blocks and only 9 from the 6% HP block. So while that's not a lot, it is a step above other mages. Lara also gets bonus damage from blocks. She gets 1% damage from every 2% summon duration she has. With a 12% summon duration block, she gets 6% damage. Also worth noting is a lot of mages do stack as much buff duration as possible. I didn't see exact numbers on how much damage they get for having mechanics 25% buff duration, but it is worth mentioning. On a similar note to Kana, the warrior class Demon Avenger also scales off of HP, except HP is their main stat and strength is their secondary. While they do scale way harder with the HP blocks, that also means that they don't have dex as a secondary stat. So they actually only have 3 HP blocks and 850 strength from the flat stat blocks. Pirates on the other hand unfortunately do not have any class that benefit more than other classes with Legion. Unless we're counting summon duration, because for some reason a lot of pirates are summoners. Corsair, Mechanic, and Cannoneer all have summons, but it's not like there aren't other summon classes out there that don't benefit more, like Lara. So moving on to the last class, we have Thieves, and this is actually where we have our top 3 classes. If Bowmaster, Lara, and Kana are standout classes for benefiting from high Legion, then these 3 classes take it an even further step. 2 of these classes actually have the exact same stat scaling, so let's just go with both of them. And those 2 classes are Shadower and Dual Blade. Shadower and Dual Blade are the only 2 classes in the game that have a tertiary stat. So whereas most classes only benefit from their main and secondary stat, these 2 get a third stat that also boosts their damage. They both use luck as their primary, dex as their secondary, and strength as their tertiary. So they're looking at 750 luck as their main stat, 650 dex as their secondary, and 850 strength as their tertiary. That is a total of 2,250 stats that they benefit from. So, Shadower and Dual Blade will actually take up the number 2 and number 3 spot for having the most amount of beneficial Legion blocks. And after hearing why they're not first place, I'm sure it's obvious who is number 1. So, getting right into it, it's actually going to be Xenon. Funnily enough, also scales with the exact same stats as Shadower and Dual Blade, with the only difference being Xenon doesn't have secondary stats. Xenon has 3 primary stats. So that is 2,250 primary stats that Xenon gets compared to the second most, which is actually 850 primary stats for Warriors. So while Warriors do have 1,500 flat stats they can get from Legion blocks, almost half of that is a less effective secondary stat. So Xenons have a full 2,250 primary stats available to them through Legion. There's a lot of classes in the game that don't benefit at all from the stats your Legion gives, aside from the blocks they take up on the grid. Like I mentioned, not a single class in the game uses int as a secondary, so if you don't main a mage, that int block does not provide any positive stats outside of the grid bonus. So every class in the game will only ever benefit from 2 types of stat blocks. And if you were to have every character above 250, you'd have 10.5k Legion minimum, which means you'd have 41 available slots on your grid, which also means you're forced to put on stat blocks your character can't utilize. So the characters that scale the absolute best with maxed out Legion are Shadower, Dual Blade, and Xenon in first. They utilize every single shared Legion block as well as 3 different flat stat blocks. Anyways, this video is just for fun. So don't take this as a video saying you should play Xenon if you plan on eventually maxing out your Legion. I was planning my next Hyperburn by looking at useful Legion blocks when I had the idea for this video. So, I hope you enjoyed this somewhat informative video. In my previous video, I did say my New Year's video was next, but after I wrote it out, I realized how long the script was. So this is a filler video while I chip away at that video, and it should be out within the week. Right now, I'm pushing for a goal of 1,000 subs so I can start monetizing my videos. If you like this video or want to support me, please consider subscribing. Right now, I am doing this all for free, so any support goes a very long way. And as always, take care and I hope to see you in the next video.